Hey everyone, hope you guys are having a good day, morning, afternoon, evening, whatever, whenever you're listening to this. Today we're going to be talking about Riley Strain, giving a few updates what we can. Chris Dingman is going to be joining us. If you don't remember who he is, you should. But he is the spokesperson for Riley's family. And toxicology has come back. It doesn't mean that we're going to be able to get the results today, but we're going to talk about as much as we can, Riley's Law, and a few other things that just come up. Plus, we know that Mother's Day is coming up, and this is going to be a pretty tough time for Riley's mom, Michelle. So without further ado, I'm going to skip the intro stuff that we normally do. All I'm going to say is, hey, if you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Trying to grow this channel would be a good favor and a good solid for me. So with that said, let me bring Chris on, and we'll get this ball rolling. Hey, Chris, how are you doing?
Hey, brother. How you doing, man?
I'm good. Well, thank you for taking the time out of your day to come on and give updates. We want to make sure that Riley's name and his family, his parents, don't get forgotten. And there's been a lot of stuff going on, so I just want to take some time to give him a little bit of a spotlight.
Sure. And we appreciate everything that everyone's done to do that. I mean, it's incredible to think that we're 8 or 9 weeks into this, which is just phenomenal that we're still even being able to keep it current per se. With what goes on in the world every day, it still blows my mind that people are still so invested in Riley and what happened. And even after he was found, just the love and support of people still trying to get answers, which we're hoping you brought up the toxicology. We've had a lot of people that's, very interested in toxicology along with us. And what I can tell you is we were told prior to the toxicology coming back that there is a review board that once the toxicology does come back, it goes in front of I think it's called a review board. Then they determine what they think the actual cause of death was. So everybody's excited. We got wind that, Sunday afternoon that the toxicology was come back. They're frustrated. Hey, it's Monday. Why don't we have answers? Well, guys, this is a process. This is just like an investigation. But yeah, we are hoping not only is this a huge, information for the case for Riley, man, you talk about doubling down. We have Mother's Day. MU actually graduates this weekend, where Riley should have been graduating, been an incredible family experience, a triumphal one. When your kids graduate college, you're just, you feel like you've done it as a parent, and it's just an incredible week. Michelle and Chris and Ryan and Millie have all kind of stepped back just a little bit. This is before we knew, that the toxicology had came in, just preparing themselves mentally for this week coming up. Yeah. It's been surreal with the family. There's been moments to where they've been able to breathe and catch their breath and function, function normally for whatever that means in the situation they're in. But they only got to do that for a brief amount of time. And then now this come up with Mother's Day, graduation. It's just going to be a hard week for them. So we are excited. I'm not going to speak to them, but I'm excited the toxicology is back. I hope it brings a lot of answers. And like you've had questions and everybody's had questions on what actually happened that evening. But you talk about doubling down, they're tripling down. You have toxicology, Mother's Day, and MU graduating this week. So it's the trifecta. If with the Riley's case has told us anything, be prepared, guys. Guess what? I would be surprised if it didn't happen this week. So we're just hoping for answers. Still have questions. It is not uncommon for them, especially in a high-profile case, to go in front of like a review board or a panel or whatever they actually call it. I've actually talked to some of the local coroners and police people, detectives, i.e. LEs here in Springfield, and they go, yeah, being more of a high-profile case, the coroner has the option of just taking straight toxicology and then making a finding on that. But I would give Metro Nashville, they're definitely wanting to make sure no stones unturned, because we have put a lot of pressure on them to make sure we get, I'm
glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, not necessarily just the answer. We want the correct answer, and also the family's toxicology. I've not had a chance to talk to Ryan or them today, but most generally the second autopsy was actually done the same weekend that Metro Nashville did. So that's some new information. so yes, the family's actual toxicology, which I do know that they did run some more extensive tests on that. With the hopes that this has showed up this early, there's a good possibility that they're going to be receiving those this week also. So we've now went from a triple wild week to to four major things happening. Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
but that's good news. Really give the answers that the world, and I mean that sincerely. I was talking to you before we went on the air. We got a package from Ireland for the family this week, which just still blows my mind. We're this far into it, and there's that much love and affection and wanting for information on what happened to Riley. So, but I really hope that it opens up either, I've had to have this talk with some of the family members, guys. I said, this could be, we've been running 9 million miles an hour trying to get information, trying to get support for the family, trying to get answers. And I said, the toxicology could very possibly give us everything that we need to know what happened that night. Or is it going to be like confusing, like every piece of evidence that we've got in Riley's situation that night? And here's the toxicology. Now we have 100 more questions. We still have not, the family has still not been approached by Metro Nashville with the smoking gun, per se, as I like to call it, a video, an eyewitness, per se, on what happened that night. If it was truly an accident, I understand that there would have been nobody that was arrested that may have seen it, that is a witness to that. But man, you think just for the family's sake that Metro Nashville would have, even though toxicology wasn't back, let the family breathe a little easier with some evidence that it had been an accident. Once again, I'm not a detective. Probably, thank the Lord, nothing would get handled. But, there's a lot of questions, and we're really sincerely hoping that the toxicology comes back, gives us answers, and helps the family deal with what their next step is going to be. We had talked. I hadn't had a chance to talk to you guys, but about a week ago, the family did reach out. They finally did get some representation. That's why they have kind of stepped back out of the media. I'll be honest with you, it wasn't representation per se to go after monetary lawsuits at this moment. It was representation to see what they actually could do with the couple of the private detectives that they've had working with them, what they could do legally to acquire information. Unfortunately, in Missouri, and you deal with this in your shows, each state has a different set of guidelines and laws for what can be released, what can't be released, what has to be subpoenaed, etc. So it was just time for the family to reach out, know what their legal rights were in going for, i.e., I'm going to use an example, the marathon footage that we tried for weeks to get access to. We did find out from an employee of the Birch Tree building, which was the kind of the grainy video that they did shooting north, that showed the ghostly figures over on the sidewalk. We actually did find out and verify that there is, I think, 4 cameras that are functioning on that building, 3 east and 1 that does face south. So we do know that the police, have more footage of that building, and we were also told that it wasn't as grainy as the footage that was released for the media. So that's hope. We've always been on the big hunt trying to figure out who those figures were that were walking on the sidewalk, who the people were on the little push around scooters, etc. So yeah, the family decided at that point it was time to seek legal representation and figure out how they could approach and get access to those. Unfortunately, and you'd probably know better than anybody, during an investigation, until it is actually closed, there is a lot of that stuff, once it's been subpoenaed, the family will not have access to. But when it is actually closed by Metro Nashville PD, and you can probably help fill me in on a lot of that, I hear there's a whole new set of dynamics that the family can go after and pursue on getting information. Is that correct?
So I'm not sure. I don't know if there was any laws changed with it, but I mean, I think going to what you said, I think getting an attorney is the smart move. How do I put this delicately? I think I don't think I have to be delicate with this. I think that we are pretty much on the same plane. Being somebody who lives in the Metro Nashville area, and you see how certain cases, we're looking at Sebastian Rogers as an example. You're looking at how Riley was handled. And, even that night that we were sitting there talking for the vigil, and I think I've told you this before, you could hear the officers behind you, you could hear them rolling their eyes as you were talking to social media people. And it just seems to me that it's more concerning, in the Covenant School kind of did the same thing. It's more concerning to sweep this stuff under the rug, get it gone as quickly because we can't affect tourism. And I think that's part of it. I had also heard, speaking of this, and I heard a rumor, you don't have to confirm or deny it, but I heard a rumor that apparently Missouri, like I guess at Mizzou, those police reached out to Nashville and said, hey, if you want us to go interview some fraternity members or you want us to go do some snooping around, around the college, we're happy to do that for you. And Nashville was like, no, we don't need that. They denied the help. I heard that. I don't know if it's true, but
and once again, this is just same deal, but I did have some reporters that we had actually talked to up in Columbia that was wanting to try to cover the story and cover the Mizzou side of it. And I also heard that from them also. This is from some of the reporters that were up there and making the comments along the lines that, they were trying to follow up on the story. They reached out to the local police department to know if they'd had any interviews or information on it, and was told that they were declined the opportunity, in essence, to come into the case, like the TBI, FBI, etc. So that once again, it's secondhand information, but what you have heard is also, is what I had heard also.
So I don't know the new rules. I can check around and see what we can find. But one thing that frustrates me for his family and for you, all of y'all that are involved, is sometimes just having the answer. When people are in this situation, especially when it's their kid, they want the answers, no matter how gory the details, no matter how much they don't really want to hear it. Getting the answers is what's most important. And one example that I use frequently when I talk about this is Beth Holloway. A few months ago, Joran Vandersloot, who's been the top suspect for 20 years, was up here, or was up in U.S. They extradited him to Alabama, and he went under polygraph. He answered questions. She got the details that she wanted. He was sentenced to basically a sentence here that's going to run concurrent with his Peruvian sentence, end before his Peruvian sentence. And he's got a few bucks he's supposed to pay her, but she'll probably never see that. But to her, it wasn't about getting, at that point, the justice. She just wanted to know all the details that happened to her daughter. And so it's kind of the same thing with Riley. And I think that, again, I'm not here to spread rumors. I'm just going to tell you what I have heard when we were talking about this. At the very beginning of this, there were some fraternity brothers that had reached out to me about the story. And, that kind of went sideways a little bit with some of what had happened. And we don't need to talk about the fraternity. We've talked about them enough. But the consensus that I got from almost everybody, and I think I even heard from you guys, that when Riley drinks, what we saw on camera is not how he acts. That's not typical behavior of him. And so that leads you to, and then again, I'm not keeping it until toxicology results are official and we know what they are, just take this with a grain of salt. This is speculation. But to me, when you look at the history of those bars and when we were doing videos on those bars, how many people would come in the comments and say, oh, I was roofied at this bar. Oh, I was drugged at this bar. And Luke Bryant's and Kid Rock's were the two. And he was at both of those that night. Yes. And all of those bars have more cameras than a casino. So you would think that there would be something there. And it frustrates me, though, for the families, that why can't you give if this is what you're saying, is if you're saying that, hey, this is case closed, this was an accident, he fell into the river, then why can't you show the family the information to just satisfy that? And it's very frustrating for me for them.
Oh, 100%. And we've been on that for several weeks, and even you brought it up. I mean, I understand not being able to go to the press with it, until this is how they work it. Toxicology comes back, review board, final examination given by the coroner, final cause of death. Then we do our report. I get all that, but man, it would have been nice for the family. We've been asking for weeks, a month plus. If you have anything on the lines, Chris even went on and did an interview. Saying, hey, just show me what you have. So this is an accident, Because I'm going to tell you right now, if they come back in the next 2 or 3 days and they don't bring, i.e., to me, physical evidence, witnesses, some type of video cameras, something that you can put your hands on and see that this is it. You've been there, you are there. You know how that terrain is, you know how hard it is to fall into the water there, how, it's 20 plus feet.
Very difficult.
There is way, way too many questions that need, and they're not going to drop this. The world's not going to drop this. You're not going to drop this, and I've not defended Metro Nashville this entire time. I've been up their butt from day one. It's not because I have a beef with them. I want them to give me their A game. I've been a coach for years, and I may have taken the wrong approach on this, but I want everybody to succeed. Unfortunately, when this started, I had a bunch of people reach out to me saying, hey, if you don't stay on top of this, they're going to sweep it underneath the rug. It's 100%. A kid from out of town, blah, blah, blah. And I listen. And then in the sad part, when they're telling me this, they're sending me stories and their information and their tragedies. And I'm like, I looked the other day, we've got over 100 messages from people over the last 3 years that have had tragic situations, not like Riley's. A couple of them were, but tragic situations that's happened in Nashville. And it blows my mind, and we've talked about it. I told some, and I don't know, you live there, you probably have a better idea. But I told somebody, I said, if you live in a larger town, look at a small town around you. And if there's anywhere between 6,000 and 8,000 people in that town, I said, on a normal weekend, probably in Nashville, I said, take that town, and then next week, take everybody out of it and put a new group in. And they're like, really? And I said, guys, that's the kind of flow that probably goes in and out of Nashville. It's literally changes its populace every single weekend. And the handful of people that live in Nashville is maybe 100, 200 people out of 6,000 or 7,000, 8,000 that go through there every weekend that go somewhere else in the country. We had, actually the wild part, we had a lady in Kansas City. And can you still hear me, bro?
Yeah, I can hear you. It sounds a little different, but we can still hear you.
Yeah, I'll take these now. So the crazy part is I had a friend reach out to me that was actually, I don't know if you were on the National Visitors page, but she was on the National Visitor page talking about a bad experience they had at Luke Bryant's this weekend. And the girls got separated, escorted out of the bar. They wouldn't even let them go back in and get their phones. It hadn't been a drinking deal. And they said it was just eerie. It was in Luke Bryant's bar. It was eerie situation on what had happened with them with the Riley deal. And they live in Kansas City, bro. They live 2 hours north of this. And they're like, Missouri to Missouri. And so they actually reached out to me today. Come to find out, a friend of the family, her mom was there in that group. So I'm actually supposed to talk to them tonight. But it just blows my mind. I think there's such a huge turnover that happens in Nashville that you hit it on the head. They're just, I don't want to use it loosely as disposable people, but the amount of people that come in and out of there, unless it's something tragic and the media crew gets a hold of it like Riley, so much of it is swept underneath the rug and just moved on to the next group of people that come in for the cash.
And I don't want to water it down, but here's what I would use as possibly an anecdote. If you're driving somewhere, okay, let's say, you're in Missouri. Let's say that you're driving to, I don't know, let's say you're driving to New York, okay, and you get pulled over in New York, New Jersey. You're a lot more likely to get a ticket because they know you're not going to come back to fight it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the same deal, They know that it's not feasible for, you or, anybody related to Riley to come from Missouri to keep staying on their asses. It's just not feasible for them to do it. So, they think they ignore you enough, give you enough to satisfy you, say, oh, we'll call you back, that eventually you're going to go away.
Yeah.
So that's at least how I kind of take it. And again, but let's, how many bodies did they pull out of the water searching for Riley? And we've not heard another word about those people.
I know they had 2 that they pulled out. And then if you remember, the third one went in 5. The night the boys were down there underneath the bridge and got lucky and got them before they drowned.
And then a couple of days later, they found through the Tennessee River, which connects to Cumberland, they found 2 other people that fell in, a father and a son, or I think a father and a son or father and daughter that fell in fishing.
Yeah.
But you don't hear anything else about them. Like, I think
Yeah.
we had heard rumors that 2 of the people they pulled out were homeless, but their lives matter too. They're still
Yep.
people,
I
still
agree.
human beings, but you don't hear anything about it. And I've mentioned the Covenant School before. There was a manifesto that we have never seen. Just sweep it under the rug because that was a very high, high wealth, a very affluent area. So it's really quite challenging. Now, I do have a couple of questions. So you said a lot of stuff at the beginning, and so I'm just going to go back and ask a few things. So the graduation is this weekend as well, from Mizzou.
Yes.
Is the school, have they reached out about giving him a posthumous diploma?
I'll be honest with you. It's one of those deals. I've not asked Michelle and Chris about it just because of all the other dynamics. At this moment, I've not heard, through the group of anything like that. I thought MU would definitely give him graduate him, give him his honorary diploma, etc. But at this point, I do not know if MU's reached out or not.
Do you think we should put pressure on them? By we,
No,
I mean,
and once again, it's one of those deals. I don't want to speak for Chris and Michelle just due to everything that's going on this week with them. I'll be honest with you, even if they were giving him an honorary diploma with the toxicology coming out
it would
and
overshadow.
Mother's Day, it may literally be too much for Michelle. I would like to find out. I wish we could, quietly or whatever we need to do. It would be nice to reach out and see if they have followed up. I wouldn't see why MU wouldn't want to do something like that for Riley. I mean, he was literally 60 days away from graduating, but at this moment, I have not heard anything through family, chat that that has been offered up.
Yeah, maybe we'll make some calls quietly to the university and see what we can do.
Okay.
And maybe
I appreciate that.
Maybe somebody just hadn't thought about it. Maybe it's sometimes, but we can do that. So now with Mother's Day, we talked about this a little bit before we went on, and I know we've talked about in the past. There's a lot of people, for people who are listening, you guys know this case. You know that this is Michelle's first. Riley was her only child, and this is her first Mother's Day without him. And so we wanted to try to make her feel loved and appreciated and know that people are thinking about her. So if people want to send her flowers or cards or whatever, what's the best way of them doing that?
I appreciate that. What we did is my wife's business and my business is literally just moments away from Chris and Michelle and the family. So just to be easier and to not overwhelm my mailbox and stuff and just having a commercial account, we've just been having everybody send it to our business, and then we have them come by daily, or we go see them and give them their mail. So what I'll do is I'll give you the link as soon as we're done today, so you can post up. And like I said, guys, everything that comes in, I even told you we had a package from Ireland Monday or Friday, which I just thought that was incredible. We still have people all over the world still highly invested in Riley's case. So, but yeah, no, just to be easier for everybody and being able to get it to the family. We've actually, which was incredible, Riley's grandmother, Rosalie, we've gotten mail for her, Chelsea, Jake, Jeff. I mean, it's not just been exclusively for Chris and Michelle. It's been for the entire family, which I just think is phenomenal. I can't explain how much that, because, Chris and Michelle and Millie and Ryan are going through absolute hell right now, but the rest of the family is right there with them, and it's just incredible. Sometimes in these situations, the secondary part of the family gets extremely overlooked, and they're the ones dealing day by day in the camp, trying to keep everybody sane. And it was just so refreshing to see that people reaching out and sending personal stuff. And we've had a couple of people that's made Riley blankets. They're like I think a queen size bed blanket that they've taken the pictures of Riley and had put on the blanket for him. I had the young lady that painted the little cow for me. And like I said, it's incredible the amount of love that the people have given, and that actually, they're listening to all the stories, because there's things in our interviews and stories that they know meant something to the family. So they're sending stuff with those type of, moments to the family.
That's so
So,
thoughtful.
but
That's
yeah,
amazing.
I will definitely give you our address. You can get posted up. And like I said, everything we get goes straight to the family. And just so everybody else knows, you don't have to address it just to somebody particular. The family does everything that the family has gotten and all the correspondence. They actually share it because they get together a couple times a week. They let the entire family read everything. So if you want to address it solely, solely to somebody, that's perfectly fine. But if not, the family does get to read everything that's sent to them.
Yeah, and the other thing I'll say too is because there will be an address there, and I will post it in the description after you send it to me, so it will be there for y'all to look. And I'm sure I'll at least mention it a couple more times, because I know that Eric Oaks, kind of the same thing for him.
Yep.
People are going to send stuff for Linda, but
Yep.
we'll make sure that you guys get that. But also, you can send flowers to the shop if it's easier for you to call a flower shop if that's something that you want to do. Just letting y'all know, and just also please do keep in mind if any of y'all have gone through a funeral before. I mean, first of all, I'm a parent, you're a parent. Burying your child is the worst possible nightmare that you could experience, and she has to live that. And she's at the point where, like you said, 8-9 weeks into this, people have gone home, they've gone back to normal life, and she's still sitting there. All of them are still sitting there. Now with less people there for support, at least at the beginning, you have enough to keep you busy and keep your mind kind of off of it. But now you're left alone with your own thoughts. So again, I'm not trying to like guilt y'all into doing something, but if you do feel inclined, that is just something that you could maybe brighten her day for this Mother's Day, which I know is going to be really difficult for her, but for the whole family, really.
Literally. And like I said, it's man, everything about this deal with Riley has just been overwhelming, let alone this week. Mother's Day, graduation, toxicology. It's one of those deals. It's kind of like the normal news we watch every day. What else? What's coming next? It's just, we were so dumbed to the craziness that goes on in the world right now. And we've been kind of floored on some of the stuff that's been on the internet and some of the accusations and the craziness that goes on. And you're just wondering, wow, what could possibly come around the corner next? And then we wake up Monday and, hey, here's what's next. We've got a whole week to think about it. So, but I know that, if anybody's in a position to reach out and send a Mother's Day card or just we're still thinking about you or anything like that, it would be huge for the family. And like I said, guys, they read everything. They read everything that's sent to them. So I'm just telling you right now, it's not like one of these deals where we're sending off to Taylor Swift and she's got 19 people re-signing her stuff and sending it back. This actually goes directly to the family, and they appreciate it. We talked about this early on, and when this happened, about how they may not be on the internet responding to a lot of stuff, but all the positiveness and the energy and the love, and I'm not exaggerating, it kept them going through the first couple of weeks trying to find Riley. Just showing not that they didn't have enough energy to do it, but you can only do so much mentally until your body physically shuts down. It will, it'll come to a point and it's like, hey, time out. We've got to catch our breath. And they never really got to that point, just because every day, every 2 or 3 hours, I would see something, I would be sent something, and I would make sure and put it in the war room, and just to let them know that, hey, we're not alone. I have no idea, hundreds of thousands of people that's, helping you, pursuing you, and I made the comment, I said, my Lord, I said, the amount of women that got invested in this, I said, the mama bears come out. They come out in full force. They come out for Michelle. They come out for their children. They come out for their families. They made everybody do a hard reset on, we want to be great parents. We want our kids to grow up. We want them to experience life. We want them to have fun things in life. But you're as a parent, it doesn't matter if you're my age, an old man, if you're 20, 30 with kids. I told somebody a while back, I said, I'll tell you this. I said, one thing I'll tell you when you become a parent, you'll listen to music different. You'll watch movies different. Conversation with your friends will strike you different. The world is different when you're a parent. You cannot explain that to somebody that's not a parent. But I said, TV shows I used to watch when I was single and that, I watch them now and I look at them in a whole different light.
Well,
Because it's
I'm gonna
just
say I
this
still listen to my
instinctive.
music. I still listen to the music I listen to, but I do it after I drop her off at preschool. So,
I know, right? Because we have to. We're parents.
yeah.
But you know what I mean, though. It's
Yeah.
just it's one of those deals that the world, used to joke around about it, but the world, you look at the world a different place, and it what crazy, and it just what we were talking about is how Nashville literally reinvents itself every weekend. Look how many instances of bad things that's happened to people in Nashville in the last 9 weeks.
Yeah.
We were just talking about a few minutes ago. It blows my mind that even in today, in how this was covered nationally, worldly, and had a lot of invested eyes on it, there are still people that go down there and guys live life and enjoy it. I'm not saying don't go and have fun. Just be careful. There's something wild that's still going on in Nashville. Unfortunately, I just want people to be careful and be safe,
Yeah. So after this happened, I had put together, I'll show you some of them. But actually I put together like a kit. I called it like a women's safety kit, but it really should have just been a safety kit for going out. But it's on my Amazon storefront for anybody who cares, which if you go to justontiktok.com, that's how you get to it. But one of the things that I was like, if you're going out drinking, you have family that's drinking, there's a little thing. It looks like almost like one of those little round Band-Aids, but it's even smaller. You put it on the back of your phone, and like 1 or 2 drops of your drink on it will change color if it's been drugged. And then I ended up getting these. I have 2 of them, so this is the extra one. But we got these for my daughter. But basically, it's got a safety pin. These clip inside your clothes to hold an air tag inside.
Oh wow!
And it's waterproof because it's even got a little doohickey here like that. So I'm not trying to make this a commercial, but it's like, what can we do to keep people safe going out? Because if Riley had maybe this clip to him and a waterproof thing, maybe he could have been found a little bit faster. And so, for people, they can clip it inside their jeans or their skirt. For women, inside, on your bra, whatever. So even if somebody does try to, take you or abduct you, they're not going to know that this is there. And you can still be found. But it was all kind of after that. But you have to be safe and you have to take precautions because unfortunately, that's just the world we live in. And apparently, what we've kind of learned from Riley's case, I think that one thing that we really took away from Riley's case is it really blew open how much of, and we don't even know if he was drugged at this point because toxicology hasn't, but I would be surprised if he wasn't, is how I'll word that. But it still blew the lid wide open on this, on how many people came out and said, "Oh yeah, I was drugged at that bar. I was drugged at that bar," and really kind of put a spotlight on it in this incredibly big tourist area. And what we learned from it is that sometimes it wasn't for nefarious reasons. Sometimes it was just for funsies. Like, let's just, we don't need to rob you. We're not trying to, assault you. Let's just give it to you. Or it's going to, maybe you didn't tip well. So we're going to, because a lot of people said a lot of bartenders do it. And I mean, I don't know if that's true or not. That's just what people have said. But regardless, it's happening. And it's apparently happening in really big numbers at a lot of these bars down there. And Riley brought
Which just blows my mind. I mean,
me too.
Riley wasn't the first one that this happened to. We've got people going back 3 years that dramatic stuff has happened to in those bars. You hit it on the head. It comes down to money. It's money. At the end of the day, it comes down to money because they just want to keep rotating and keeping there. And there's in any major business, there's always going to be, a what if situation. And what percentage of what if is bad versus what is good. And they'll, any major corporation, they'll fudge that line. If there's, you and me, if there's a 10% chance something bad's going to happen, we're probably not going to do it. But if you're talking millions of dollars versus what is happening bad versus the income, guys, guess what? It's corporate America. They work that into their systems.
Well, they don't care because they don't go to those bars. Just because they own them doesn't mean they go to them. So, and it's tourists. A bunch of kids came down from Mizzou to party and went back home.
Yeah.
There's no risk for them. They leave. If something happens, oh well, brush it under the rug. We'll call it accidental and move on. And I think that it's probably happened a lot more than we think if we really delved into it, just for whatever reason. I never know why certain cases blow up the way that they do, but for whatever reason, Riley's did, which is good because it's actually very rare for a case about a missing male to blow up. It's usually not the case. So for whatever reason, his was meant to be. And, had it not, maybe, he might still not be found. So,
if you bring that up and we're talking about the safety deal a little bit too, I'm an old dinosaur with an Android, but what blew my mind with the iPhone was how the kids showed me how easy it was to put it in airplane mode. And that just, you didn't even have to get, so, i.e., you were talking about leaving stuff, on the table. The one ladies that had the issue at Luke Bryant's last weekend, they left their umbrellas, their phones, and their purses, went to go to the restroom, I think, come back and wasn't allowed to go back to them, was escorted out of the bar. So they were literally taken out of the bar with no identification, no phones or nothing like that, which blows my mind. It's bad enough if you're a guy, you sure don't do that to women, And that phone laying there, one of the kids, I asked him, I said, so that's been my biggest deal about possibly if Riley had got put in a car there underneath the bridge, why did the phone not ping? Where did the phone go? And realizing how easy it was on an iPhone to just slide it down, put it in airplane mode, and not even have the code to get into the phone, I'm like, oh wow, that's, you could MIA somebody's phone and them not have a clue.
Yeah.
That scared me a little bit, because we need to make sure people understand that, because like I said, if they had been drinking a little bit and one of your friends goofing around, put it in airplane mode, and this would have happened to them, then their last, like, i.e., if this would happen to Riley in the bar, we wouldn't have nothing hardly to go off of.
Yeah.
So people, please just be careful. I mean, a lot of people, they've got their codes on their phone, they're thinking they're safe, but realizing they can basically shut you off to the world by just swiping down on your iPhone, going to airplane mode, and
not even having my code on it. You're right. You just go, well, there. Yeah, it's right there. Just boop. That's it. And I didn't even use my code or my Face ID.
You're done.
I didn't realize that. Yeah. Wow.
So there's also a deal with iPhones. We were told that it wouldn't have helped us a lot in Riley's case, but it's called, I think, your legacy contact, which, every time I get a chance to talk to kids and all the boys we've got in the military, I've got one, but we've got a bunch of them, other, sons that we've mentored, etc. But I've told them, I'm like, guys, I don't care who it is, give them the code. We need the code to the phone. Give it to your best friend, put it somewhere else, just, have access. But apparently the legacy contact on iPhone, once a person has been declared dead, i.e., whoever your legacy contact, then can take possession of that phone and all of its contents.
Okay.
So you might check into that. I was not made aware of that, but we had, what brought that up is we had it was a rough month. I had another real good friend of the family's son that I'd had the opportunity to take to some races and really enjoy, and he was a great young man. He took his life. And the sad part is he took his life, but he had his own phone plan. And because he took his life, there was no formal investigation. And they're pretty sure that there was some stuff that was said on his phone that evening that may have pushed him to do it. But because there was no crime per se, the family has no access and cannot subpoena that phone for the records. If they would have been his legacy contact on his iPhone, they would have had all that information. And they would have, I feel horrible for them. They're in the same boat. At least Riley, we have Riley. We have some ideas what happened. We have toxicology. We're eventually going to have his phone records. There's a lot of stuff that they're going to be able to check off with Riley. Unfortunately, my other friends, they'll never be able to do that. One, because the phone was in his name and they were not on the account and they were not his legacy contact. So once again, I'm throwing this out there. We've touched a little bit about safety that might help somebody in the future if there's a tragedy that happens, to help them not go through the absolute hell that Riley's family and a lot of friends have went through trying to figure out information. And it may have helped the people, i.e., like you doing your interviews or private detectives. It may have helped them dramatically, because I think we were, oh my gosh, we were what, 10 days in, maybe 8 to 10 days before I think Metro Nashville actually got the phone records back. I don't know that for sure, but I do know there was a lot of days that had went past Riley's missing before they had notified the family that Apple had finally released the records, i.e., due to have to subpoena them, et cetera, et cetera. So, guys, I'm just trying to help.
Well, somebody just said something really interesting. They haven't said how to turn it on, but I'm going to throw it up here. They have it from for this person's iPhone. They have a feature turned on their phone, so if somebody were to swipe down, you can't get into it. So if I can figure out how to do that, I will totally make that video to tell people that, because that's a safety issue.
Yeah.
And so I'll let you know if we can figure that out. But if that person responds or I can find it, then I will happily, make that video.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
That's a good safety thing. Let me switch gears and ask you about this. And I legitimately don't know, if this stems from y'all's camp or was just the internet. But the Riley's Law that's been kind of going around that there's a petition for. I made one video about it a while ago. What do you know about that?
The lady that started it reached out 2 or 3 weeks ago, maybe a month ago. I'll be honest with you, it's hard to keep track of everything that's flying in at the family. Wanting to know about pushing forward the Riley's Law. She was very upbeat about it, wanted to pursue it, wanted to know if we would be interested. And I go, hey, anything that, safety wise, yes, I think it would be great if we could implement something on the Riley's Law, etc. Now, the way it's currently worded, as I've told some other people, guys, it has, unfortunately, better than anybody, it has such an uphill struggle right now to, one, get represented, properly worded, put in front of the proper, political people in Nashville, etc. I'm sure there'll be some changes on it, but, I think it would be great, honoring something for Riley, how it's actually worded and what it's going to have to be turned into to pass. I don't know what that is at the moment, but I think they've gotten what, 10,000, 20,000 signatures or something?
I think it says 30. The only issue with it that I kind of see, and this may be with the verbiage, is it's basically saying that bars have to make sure that people get home safety. So they want me to pin this. They gave, for the legacy contacts, they gave this. So I'm going to do that real quick. That's how to set a legacy contact.
Okay.
But the issue that I see is that the bar is supposed to get these people home safely. So what does safety look like? It's putting them in an Uber, putting them in a Lyft. Then if the person gets assaulted or killed or robbed, who then becomes liable for that? And that's where I think we start to get into the issues with it. And so I don't know if there's a way around that, but
we talked about that too. And I said, the sad part is, and you literally touched on it. I said, the dynamics of it, you've got the city trying to do something, the bar's trying to do something, and your Lyft Uber company's trying to do something. Where is the liability? When does it stop? When does it start, etc.? The person that's working security, let's say you're extremely inebriated. Well, if one of your friends doesn't tell you your address, security does not have the authority to go into your purse or your billfold to look at your address on your ID. They don't have the ability to do that.
Broadway, you're out of town anyways.
No, exactly. And better yet, what hotel? Where are you at? Now, then if the Uber and Lyft drops you off at the hotel, are you going to be coherent enough to even get into that hotel? Are you going to take off walking down the sidewalk? Like I said, I think it would be a fantastic idea. The wild part that kind of got this started is here in Springfield, our bar's called Share a Ride. And what it was is, if they had somebody in Riley's situation, they would call the local taxi company or Uber or Lyft, and the bar would take the patron's keys and would hold them, and they would put like a business card or something with them to know where their keys were. Hey, when you get this, your keys are at Bob's bar, because a lot of people, when they get in that situation, they wake up like old Charlie Sheen and don't have idea what country they're in. You're just being honest, they get there inebriated, so they'd be like, wow, where's my car? But it would be great if there was something, even somebody had brought up like a holding area downtown on, Bourbon, or downtown on the bar scene. I go, well, you put somebody in there in a holding area and maybe somebody's violent and then that turns bad. The sad part is, it would be great.
It's great in theory.
It'd be awesome if the bars, and I don't want to word be liable for that, if they could assist in that. But I'm like you, I think there's a lot of hurdles in front of this, unfortunately, before it could be signed off on.
Yeah, I think so too. And with Broadway in particular, I think that one option is, you know, there's a lot of police down there, and perhaps if you have somebody that's in a situation that is that drunk, maybe you keep, you've been to Broadway, you know what it looks like. Keep an ambulance at the south end of Broadway, at the north end of Broadway, and
Right.
you have dozens of cops there on any given night, anyways, and then you're like, just march them out to the cop. And the cop can be like, okay, hey, where you going? What do we need to do? And then it becomes that responsibility. But then that's putting a lot of stress and pressure on cops and taxpayers. Although the money that Broadway brings in, I think that would be something that they could do, or force the bars to have a fee for that. I think that there's ways.
And something to maybe throw into the verbiage and wordage on that. If you are asked to leave by a bar, maybe train the security personnel to contact an officer.
Yeah.
I mean, we could eliminate a lot of stuff if you feel that patron needs to leave your facility. The crazy part is, and there's been some of this stuff back home to where somebody has left the bar, been in a wreck, killed somebody, etc. The bar got sued. Okay, I'm just using this as a reference.
I mean, that has happened.
Yes, exactly. If the bar, if securities and bouncers or whatever you want to call if they were trained in the deal and they had a working relationship, i.e. with Metro Nashville, or even a secondary security company that has authority that works one-on-one with Metro Nashville. I get Metro Nashville, we've already talked, they've got a lot of beat cops down there. But with that said, if when you escort somebody to the door, there's a reason you're escorting to the door. It would be so nice just to be able to reach out, talk to an LEO, talk to one of their special security people or something like that. Let them evaluate the situation before that person wanders off.
Yeah,
that would be something I could see the bars, the visitor center, the politician getting behind, because when you start getting in detail with the share of the ride, you hit it on the head. Are they going to a hotel? Are they going to their home? Are they going to their ride home? The crazy part, I'm bringing that up, is I literally had a gentleman that was dropped off at my house years ago that lived across the street that hadn't lived there in 5 years. But unfortunately, my address, i.e. his address, that's all he could. He was that hammered.
Amazing.
He had lived somewhere for 5 years other than here, and he just remembered, and he knew that he ended up here, and I got his drunk butt home. But it was just one of those deals, but yeah, man, if there was something that if it comes to the point where they feel that the patrons need to leave that facility, I know you're going to have some people that kind of buck back on it too. Well, hey, you get the police involved and you may get an intoxication deal or something like that. Guys, I million times over, I would pay for Riley an intoxication ticket right now and have his butt here over what happened to him.
Absolutely.
So that's just my personal opinion.
I think that we came up with a solution for Broadway, though. What you do is just charge an additional tax, just for the Broadway area and surrounding couple blocks. Charge an additional tax and use that money to fund the additional police officers.
100%.
And that'd be you'd make more than enough every night.
Yeah. No, I agree. And and we've talked about it. I've had a lot of people that's ripped on the officer with the body cam. Trust me, nobody but the family wish he would have just walked over and got right. Hey, man, let's talk. Riley, due to the current volatility of the police departments and the world right now and everything else, sad part, 10 years ago, that officer probably would have walked up to Riley, checked on him.
Yeah.
But right now, they can't do it. There's no need to be upset with him. Riley gave everybody that watched the video was like, he's such a polite young man. I go, I know. He gave no indications for that officer that he was in danger, which is wild. But if, like what you're talking about, if you could do some type of a visitor's tax, whatever it needs to be to add extra people down there that are trained to handle situations like that. We've already established Riley was not belligerent, was not violent, was laid back. He would have walked outside, met with 2 officers. Hey, man, and they would have at least probably, if he was going to the bar next door or trying to go to the 1-2 doors down, they would have walked with him. It's just that let's find your friends, bud. So I think you're onto something, bro. I think that the small tax for covering that, I think the state would get behind it. I think the politicians would get behind it. The bars would get behind it because it would take the pressure off of them on,
Yeah,
well, a little
you
bit
could
of
hire
pressure
more
we've given.
officers. You could hire more officers for that area, which would help with drunk and disorderly conduct. And I mean, frankly, you could even take it a step further. You could do hotels within the direct vicinity as well. Add just a
Yeah.
1% tax, 0.5% tax. That
Yeah.
would go pretty far. So,
Yep.
So that's just it's a thought. Well, regarding toxicology, real quick. So I'm guessing you haven't heard anything as what it might entail at this point, or if you have, you're probably not allowed to say.
Honestly, we've heard nothing. They've been very tight-lipped about it, which I understand. But I do like the fact that either the review board or whatever they call it. I don't know officially. I'm just calling it the review board. I do like the fact that they're taking it to it, getting multiple sets of eyes to look at this, make sure nothing was missed. The families is going to be the same way. I actually did reach out Sunday and talk to Ryan just a little bit, and he was like, yeah, when we do get ours back, we've already been told that it does go in front of a review board. So not only is the two people that did the autopsies, there's going to be other multiple people looking over their work to make sure something wasn't missed. So that is nice. I know Tennessee Alcohol Bureau Commission. Did I say that correct?
Yeah, I think so.
TABC or whatever.
TABC, yeah.
I do know that they've not wrapped their case up, but I know they were hinged on the toxicology coming back for their findings on their investigation.
They've been very helpful. They've been very my understanding is that TABC has been very helpful with you guys.
Yes.
So I want to give
100%. So there's, once the toxicology comes out, it's written, it's talked about, then the families comes out. We'll see if there's anything that, if it's verbatim of what happened or if there's anything that may contradict what the first one was. And then once, like we discussed, once the case is actually physically closed by Metro Nashville PD, then that offers up a larger opportunity for the family to pursue what happened. They can actually get marathon footage. There was actually a housing complex just north of the Birch Tree building on up around the corner. They did find out that they had some video surveillance too. They, didn't see Riley per se, but the family would have opportunity to view it. Like I said, that and it depends on, I can't speak for Michelle and Chris and Ryan and Millie. I just hope that whatever the police are bringing forward in their final press release, i.e. report from the coroner, is something ironclad that we can follow, because there's still way too many people invested in this, and we're going to need evidence. This can't be this is what we thought or this is what we think.
It needs to be solid.
The world needs to know, and I guarantee you that CrimeCon is coming up. 30 days downtown Nashville.
Are you going to be there?
I'd like to. I made the comment. I kind of threw it out there. I said I would come and sit on a panel, and I think we should do a panel and have people that felt comfortable and strong enough to come forward that had bad experiences in Nashville speak in Nashville at CrimeCon. I think that would be phenomenal.
Well, I will share this bit of information with you. So I'm going as a spectator because Joe told me, despite what Joe will say now, Joe told me I had to go. And so I'm going. So he's going to be there as well. But Dan is going to be there too. And he's working on right now. I think he said today he had another call about trying to sponsor something there. And I'm quite sure if that's the case, you still have his number, I believe. He's actually in Nashville this week. We saw him yesterday, but he would probably bring you on with the panel, especially you, because you know how he is with the fraternity stuff.
Yeah.
So that might be a good conversation to have. I'm sure I'll talk to him tonight as well.
Well, I have officially left that date open. I have no racing that weekend. So if something happens and then somebody, wants me to come and we can try to keep everything moving forward and help even other people, that was one of the things that really, really got to me, is the amount of people that reached out that, and I talked about it. I had a little bit of guilt on how incredible response that we had for Riley and how the world had covered it. And, there's so many people, bro. There's so many people that this tragedy, they never find. One of the guys, I don't know if you were standing there with me, he walked up to me the night at the vigil. His best friend had been gone for 7 years, lived maybe a couple hours from Nashville, and missing, nobody. And he goes, I just want to let you know, he goes, we have people reaching back out again over that story. And I'm like, I looked at him and I'm like, are you being for real right now? And he goes, he's not the only one. I had other people that reached out that, because the traction that Riley got, they were looking for missing persons in their area information, and they were getting new leads generated for stuff. And
amazing,
man, why, it's incredible. Riley always said, I'm going to do big things. And I wish to God he was here right now. But maybe Riley's, maybe something positive is going to come of this to where Riley will be remembered forever. I'm an old dog. I'm going to be gone in 20 or 30 years. Nobody will remember me. But if we can do something awesome for Riley in honor of him to save people, man, that would be an incredible legacy for his family,
Yeah, I think so too. And it's a great way to honor. And I love it. Obviously we would much rather these families have their children back, but you look at Joe Petito, you look at, what you guys are doing. I can give you multiple examples of this type of situation where, there's some parents that take the tragedy and, they live with it, they endure it, and that's it. And there are some that take the tragedy and they try to do something beautiful with it. And I think that that's always wonderful. And any way that I or my platform can support that, I'm here to help.
Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you.
Well, I think that's for the updates. I think that's probably all we got, man. I appreciate you coming on and talking and giving us updates. And hopefully in these next few days, maybe we'll get some answers on toxicology. I know that we're all waiting. Yeah, we're all holding our breath for it, for sure. Like, we want to know what happened, because I think we all have ideas.
Well, like I said, one way or another, we're going to have a huge piece of this puzzle given to the family. I just hope it answers the 100 questions we already have instead of creating 1,000 more. You know what? It doesn't matter. When we have it, we're going to dig into it. And if we need to move forward and dig in even harder, we're going to do it, because we're not giving up. We need to know what happened. I feel guilty about saying this. I want to know what happened, just like what you kind of talked about earlier. Some people want to know, even if it's morbid. I want to know so we can make sure this doesn't happen to somebody else.
Exactly. And if we can prevent one death from this, then it's all worth it. You save one life.
1,000%, bro. So, and like I said, talk to whoever, I've got that weekend off. If we need to come to Nashville and be honoring in person, I can do it. So I appreciate everything you're doing, though.
We're not going to get drinks at Luke Bryant's, though. I'm going to tell you that right now. No. We're not doing that.
No.
Yeah, I'll talk to Dan this afternoon, and I'll mention it and see where he's at on it. I asked him last night. He said he had another call today, but yeah, I'll let you know. But I think it would be good. I think that you could bring some really great value. One, you're a great spokesman. You present it all very well. But two, I think given the situation and kind of what unfolded through this, I think that there's a lot of value and a lot of insight that you would bring to a panel to have this kind of a discussion.
Okay. Like I said, I got the gift of gab, but I, as a father, and I don't want any parent to ever have to go through this. I now see firsthand what it's like for the ones that do. I now know why there's a lot of separations in families, a lot of, families never moving on. And damn it, if we can do something in the future to make sure this doesn't happen, you hit it on the head. One kid, one person, one adult even. It's amazing how many adults that have reached out to us in Nashville that's had horrible things happen to them. It's all worth it, brother. It's all worth the time and effort. And I appreciate everything you're doing.
Likewise. Well, I will see you soon. Just real quick, just a reminder, if you join late or whatever, Chris is going to send me an address. We're going to get it posted in the description as soon as he does. That if you want to send Mother's Day cards, letters, flowers, whatever to the family, that you'll be able to do so, and we'll post that there. And please think about that, because it is Michelle's first Mother's Day without her only child. So that's a very heavy thought, and anything that we can do to maybe lighten that day for her, I think we should do. So I appreciate you, Chris. Thank you so much, and we'll hopefully be having you back on again, because we're not forgetting Riley. It's not going to happen.
I know, brother. Like I said, it gives me hope, bro. I appreciate you and everybody else, and we'll stay in touch.
Sounds good. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks, bro. Bye.